What is up, everybody? Today we're going to go through the cathode switch. Look at that. This little guy right here. Nobody talks about that, do they? And I can't say that I know everything when it comes to what exactly the cathode switch is doing, with the combination of resistors and capacitors and stuff. I would believe that it creates a certain sound. From the documentation, it goes from, if you're looking at it, so from your side all the way over here to the left, if you're looking straight at it, is 1, which is going to be the switch for fender-like stuff. Okay, and the second one in the middle is supposed to be for the Marshall voicing, and then over to the far right, it's going to be the slow voicing. Now, what that actually means, I'm not exactly sure, but we're going to use the tools like a frequency analyzer, and I'm not the best with it yet, so we'll do what we can with it and see what this is actually doing with each of these. And I'm not just going to go through one module. This one is the HBE. We're also going to do Savage and the Uberschall. So we're going to go through those modules and see what these cathode switches do, and if there's consistency between them, let's just see what they sound like. Let's do it. All right, so that was basically the first one. So we'll go ahead and turn that off, unplug this, and now we're going to switch it over to the second position. All right, now let's go ahead and try out the third position, which should be the slow position. I'm not sure if this one has the most bass or not. Since we're there, flip it over, pick it up. And we'll do this for the other two modules as well, just to see if there's a difference. That one's done. I'm gonna go ahead and run through these two other modules, the HBE and the Savage, really quick, and just kind of put them back in. I'm gonna use different riff for each of the modules, and then we'll have a good bit of stuff to analyze. Go ahead and try it. Okay, now we're going to do the Friedman HBE. Let's see how that goes. You flip it over to switch 1, so we're good there. Okay, the clips are done, and the next step would be to go over to the analyzer and just go through each of these. The analyzer that I got is Blue Cat's Freak Analyst Multi. So the idea of this thing is to be able to have multiple layers of tracks and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the average of each of those, let the track play. It's going to catch the average of those, and then it's going to give us a little snapshot. This is the best way I could think of kind of doing this video, because it may not come through on a DAW as well, just switching back and forth. I'll have it both ways, of course, in this video, but let's just go over and see if we can do some technical stuff as best we can, okay? Let's try it. So here is the plugin that I'm going to use. It's Blue Cat's Frequency Analyzer Multi. We're just going to use one track really on this one. This is kind of what I've already recorded here. But I go in order from Cathode Switch 1, Cathode Switch 2, and 3, and so on for the next riff and then the next riff. And already we can kind of see a difference in the wave files. So this one looks a little thicker. We'll see. We'll play with it and see what it does, okay? So let's go ahead and start analyzing. So I'm going to let this go through. It's going to kind of get the average of everything here. So I've got the highs going on here too. And that's pretty good, so I'm going to save it. Save that as A. Okay. So now, whenever I use this, I can actually see that snapshot from whenever I put it, push that store to. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and do the next one. And let's turn this one off. Let's try it again. Let it kind of level out with the high stuff. You see, as it's going down, that was the trial version. That's what happens. But we got it. So, as we can see here, here's B. Now here's A. Here's A and B. Ah, see? Starting to see a difference already. Alright, so now let's go ahead and do the last one. Alright, so there's those. Now, what's cool about this program is I can go in and see the difference of each of those. So check this out. First, we'll just look at this side here. So there's A, there's B, and there's C. Okay. Now look, there's like a little bit less high in there. I could take B away compared to A. A's got a little more low end. Looks like a little bit more mids and more highs. And then compared to B. So remember, A is 1, the cathode setting, 1 for fender, 2, which is B, which is the Marshall setting, and then C, which is the slow setting. So comparing B to C, B, let's go ahead and take this off. It's a little confusing. We got a little more high end on B there. So, yeah. And it looks like the low end's about the same. The B has a little more mid content. All right, I can actually go in here and like check it out even a little closer. So you can see that. And go in here. See a little more mid content there. Interesting. Let's go over here to the low end. And it's not much different, but C has just a tad more low end in the 150 hertz. So, take this as you with a grain of salt. I'm still learning how to use this program myself, but it's showing me some cool stuff. This is an average of what it's picking up whenever I'm playing it, and then I'm saving that for this. So let's do this other cool thing, right? This is called the difference. What do you call this? Is there a name for it? Comparison curves. Okay, so what's cool about this one is that I can see what the difference between cathode switch 1 versus cathode switch 3 or B, vice versa. So right now let's do cathode switch 1 versus or minus cathode switch 2. So let's see what that looks like. All right. So what I'm seeing here is that there's more low-end content on the first one, and looks like around 470 to 1. Kind of jumps all over the place, to tell you the truth. But just looking at this from, let's see if I'm bringing that up, and it kind of exaggerates everything. But there's definitely more low end and more high end. All right, so let's compare it to C. Okay, so compared to C, there's more low end and definitely more high end. So let's compare C to B. How about that? So C and B. So C minus B, 1 or 3 minus 2, cathode switch 3 and 2. It looks like C just has less high end. Is that right? Am I reading this right? I'm still trying to learn this program, so I believe that it would be the difference of C cathode switch 3 to cathode switch 2. Let's go back over to, let's see, this guy, and C to B. Yeah, so it looks like B has more high end than C. If we go back over to the difference calculator here, C minus B. So it's just, okay, this is basically telling us anything that's below here is saying that there's less of. If it's above the line, then there's more of. So there's just a tad more low mid content, and then the mids and the highs are pretty low too. Let's go back to A. Oh, okay. So A has a whole bunch more lows than low mids, or let's see. Yeah, it's just more dynamic. And they all kind of sit around the same when it comes to the high mids. And C compared to A, it just seems like Cathode Switch 3 is just duller. So if you want a duller setting, there you go. Alright, so now let's go over to the other riffs and see what those look like, okay? So we'll go ahead and uncheck those, and let's go ahead and hit this one. Okay, so it didn't move much after that. All right. So now let's go ahead and do B. All right. Let's go ahead and do C. All right, and I'm trying to store this around the same point of that riff, just so we can, you know, have enough time for this thing to get an average of everything. So now let's go ahead and look at everything as far as the graphs. All right, here's A, Cathode Switch 1, Cathode Switch 2, and Cathode Switch 3. So there's more high end here. Cathode Switch 3. Interesting. So this one is the Savage. Okay. So obviously A is pretty consistent with having more low end. I mean, you can kind of look at this wave file here. It almost sounds like it's even louder. Interesting. All right. Okay, C to cathode 3 to cathode 2. C definitely has more high-end content and low mid content and lows. I wonder if this one, maybe I bumped the volume a little bit on this one. I'm not sure. And that's why I did 3 tests, just in case. Let's do A. That's exactly what we thought it was. Cathode 1 is definitely a lot higher in the lows and the mids, but is definitely lower in the highs than Cathode Switch 2. And look at that. So, yeah, it basically goes in order. If you want big lows and a spikier high, then use A. Right? Let's go from B to A. Yeah. So there's more highs. Let's go back over here. Uncheck C. Yeah, look at that. More highs in B. This one acted a little different. Okay, now let's do the last one, which is the HBE. And let's go ahead and capture that. Okay, so that's the average on that one. let's do the average on this one. And the last one, just let that drop. Okay, now let's go back and look at them. Here's A, right? Here's B. This looks a little more like what I expected. So A has more low to low mids, and then the highs are just a little bit lower than B. Compared to C, there you go, it's duller. Why would you ever use C? Oh, let's take a look at the mids, maybe for that. All right, there you go. If you want like more mids, use Cathode Switch 2. Let's go back to C. Yeah, it's just duller. Like everything about it is duller. Why would you do that? But Cathode Switch 2 has more of a mid-range hump. Okay, there we go. That is our answer. Cathode Switch 1 has much more low end. Not much more, but it's noticeable. But it also has, let's see, let's go back. It has a small dip, not even really noticeable in the high end. The mid content compared to Cathode Switch 2 is just a little less. But there's more low-end content in A, or Cathode Switch 1. And then Cathode Switch 3 is just low. It's a duller version of A. If you want to dumb down your sound, use the third switch. I'm pretty confident with that because that's been the trend as far as these three different modules. I'm pretty confident with saying that Cathode Switch 1 is more lows, Cathode Switch 2 is a little bit more mids, and Cathode Switch 3 is just a duller version of Cathode Switch 1. There you go. If you guys have any thoughts, I'm hoping that somebody else takes this on and does a better job at explaining the technicality part of this. I just picked up this program today, so I fumbled through it. So sorry about that if it's maybe I did something wrong that you guys caught. I'm not very familiar with this program, but I got what I needed out of it doing this, and I know there isn't a lot of people who have done this. There is a certain YouTuber that kind of got me on to doing this video, so I thought it was a great idea. And if you guys like put some stuff in the comments for me to test out and do, I'm totally open to it, and I'll try my best to give you guys that. And I really do appreciate everybody that has been commenting on my stuff and loving the stuff, and like just adding to the community of D&D. But I hope this was informative for you guys. Enough where you guys can take this and know which cathode switch you want to use with this information and get the best out of your gear. Alright? Anyways, like and subscribe. DMD